Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Sarhat Sanvad. In this particular series called Borderlands Travelogue, we are trying to bring to you some of the ground realities and interesting complexities of some of the borderlands of India. For today's episode, we have with us very popular defense journalist and one of my personal favorite, Mr. Mayank Singh from the New Indian Express. Thank you so much, Mayankji, for joining us. This indeed is a great pleasure to have you with us this afternoon.
What a pleasure, actually. And you have picked up a topic which is normally not talked about, discussed about. I mean, there are so many human angles to it. There are so many angles to it. So thank you for picking up the topic.
Exactly. So looking forward to this interesting interaction with you. So Mayankji, to begin with, you have been a defense journalist for a long period of time now. You have had a first-hand experience of both the LOC as well as the LAC. So what do you understand about borders being a journalist, or more specifically being a defense journalist? What is your understanding about borders? How would you like to define borders?
Complex is a word which I'll start with. It's very complicated, very complex. And for people, they might not even be having the inkling or hint of the kind of variegated different types. Types, when I say in terms of terrain, in terms of appearances, in terms of the place, the climate, it's so variegated. Example I'll quote is, let's start with example of LAC, line of actual control. So, I mean, facts you get, like MHA talks about it, it's a length of 3,488 kilometers. But does people understand that this very border, which has an average height, which starts from around 11,000 feet from Arunachal Pradesh and goes up to 17,000, 18,000 feet above, averaging differently. I mean, there are 20,000 feet tall peaks also in between, but average height in that, this border has three different kinds of borders. And I have got certain videos also to show you, to make you understand that it has got cross-country roads also, wherein the vehicles run at about 70 to 80 kilometers speed. There are valleys, there are difficult valleys, there are steep valleys on these borders only, and there are dense jungles. So saying that only. Now let's come to the line of control or the western border. This is a differently kind of placed border. Terrain is different. Riverine is at places it is very riverine. At places it is so juxtaposed, or it is so intermeshed, that you cannot make out the difference between what is line of control, although it has been demarcated. Line of control is something which we have tried to demarcate with certain wires, barbed wires, and poles and pillars. But it is, when you go to jungles, I mean, canopy can hide those barbed wires. So it's so I mean, unique is the word again I'll want to use. Apart from complex, it's a very unique this thing. Now there are number of definitions and number of kinds by which we have tried to demarcate the different portions of borders. Starting from western, when we call international borders, which are demarcated, which are distinct, which are on ground maps shared and all, you come to line of control. Then you go to AGPL, actual ground position line, which is towards Siachen. Then you come to line of actual control. Having said that, let me also bring in the kind of borders. When I say unique, also try to understand the borders with Nepal, borders with Myanmar. And we are not talking about the maritime borders, which are uniquely placed actually. So border with Nepal, when you go to those borders, there's no border for practical reason. And both sides have accepted it. Not that it is something which is burdened upon us. No, both sides accepted it. When you go, there are certain crossings there. You go to Nepal, Nepalganj, you go to Badhani, you go to Sonauli, whichever area you go to. There are houses which have one corner jutting into the other territory, which can be Nepal or which can be. There are markets. So when you say in Hindi, colloquial language, we say there is a relationship of roti and beti. Roti is for the employment which you have. One can go the other side, work and come back. And beti, I mean, in Indian tradition, it has been normally the lady, the girl of the house who leaves her house and adopts the house of the husband. So, I mean, the daughters have exchanged houses, which can be Come to Myanmar. Now Myanmar has also to be talked about. Habitation, you talk of any place, uh, line of control has a different kind of a habitation. Nepal has a different kind of habitation. Line of actual control has a different kind of a habitation. People. And same happens with Myanmar. Now, Myanmar, at places there are dense populations, and at places for kilometers and kilometers length, you won't find people residing along those borders. This is India. It's a very uniquely placed peninsular mass of land.
So South Asian borders indeed are really very interesting and really very complex. You have already mentioned a bit about it in the first question. You know, the interesting aspect of the Indo-Nepal border. Indeed, it's really interesting. Maybe we can have another dedicated episode of India-Nepal border specifically, or the other borders of South Asia also.
Yes.
Mayankji, before we go to the next segment of our interview, in which you will be showing us some of the snippets and some of the glimpses of the borderlands of South Asia. So I would like to have your view upon what do you think about interaction between this professional journalism and academic study of borders. I mean, how do you feel we can establish a common ground between these two professions, between these two fraternities, to better understand borders of South Asia, or to better know about borders of South Asia?
I think it's a very important point you are bringing out. And yes, let's highlight about the aspect of complexity of the borders, which South Asia, I mean, these countries face. And having said that, the unique thing about a journalist is that the person goes to the ground. The person is meeting to an official who must be at the highest level of hierarchy, which can be the minister also. And he's also meeting the person who is at the lowest rank in terms of hierarchy. He must be a villager, a common citizen, common Indian living in a village, or the sarpanch also. He's talking to the officials who are looking after the administration. And in that, he is uniquely placed, the person is uniquely placed to make observations, to make analysis, not just from the feedback, but by the conditions of the place.
I'm standing at the strategic location of Sadhna Pass, the altitude of the pass is around 10,000 feet. And it is the only connect to the Tangdhar Bowl, which you see across me, behind me. And this is a strategic area, Tangdhar Bowl, which juts into the Pak-occupied Kashmir on the other side of it. And during the winters, the snowfall is around 30 feet, which disconnects the entire area from rest of the country. And in that case, the BRO comes into play, and it clears off the snows, and the place is connected. Seeing the strategic importance of this place, the administration has been trying to make this place self-sufficient in cases wherein it gets disconnected to the rest of the part. The public health system has been made good here, the roads have been made good here, and there is a population of around 80,000 to 90,000 people. This area has been quite active in the recent past and right from the beginning of the independence. And the first few Paramveer Chakras, in fact, two of the most important chakras, which is very rare, were won in the battles right here. And right now, we are going to meet the people there, and we'll understand the dynamics of this place.
Now, let's talk about the borders. The first thing which struck my mind, almost 10 days back, I was around Punch in the Hamirpur area, and there are villages which I went to. There is a village called Datot. There was electricity in 1970s at that place, and now the wires are being, the poles are being raised there. Why are they being raised there? It's also a unique thing. Ceasefire agreement, which has been reiterated in February, it's paying its dividend. Since the bullets are not being fired, the mortars are not falling upon them, the officials are able to work. They are laying roads. Can you imagine? Basuli village, which I went to a school, which is a primary school. So there was a community class which was going on, and I discussed with the girls there. There's a girl called Ghazala. Now this girl says that I want to become a doctor. Imagine a girl who's sitting there in Hamirpur in Basuli is talking to become a doctor, and she's able, her parents, imagine the kind of courage they show, that when the small arms are being fired into those areas, when shells are falling upon them, still these girls, these boys, they are able to study. The other thing, sociological aspects, sociological studies of these areas. Why do we, a unique aspect of line of actual control on the East Kameng sector, there are places, Monpas are both sides actually, on across the LAC in the Chinese side and on the Indian side also. But there are places which are of religious significance to those two, people living across the LAC. Sochu is the area wherein there are certain caves and also there are certain springs. For these people, they have a lot of significance. So there was a discussion going on in 2018 that these places will be marked and might get opened for batches of people, which can be 30, which can be 20, and a timing will be fixed for both the sides. Imagine, and line of actual control is lying in between. So at times when you meet these people, you understand that what brought the kind of a designation of these borders for these people. They were never consulted. The kind of difficulties which they face today, both the sides. Did anyone anticipate all these points? Whether it was Radcliffe, whether it was anybody who was McMahon who was trying to draw the lines, did anybody understand that what kind of a effect it will trickle down to those people who are actually going to be affected? I have to quote another example here. When you talk of the complexities, when you talk of I went to Kaman village in Uri, Aman Setu. So I met a old man there. He says that, at times I sit along the rivers and across the river are villages. I watch the people walking there and I know that there are relatives living there. So, these ground realities have to be understood also. So when you bring out these aspects, when reportings are done and when we are interacting, academics are interacting, sociologists are interacting, even psychologists should come in between, when they will understand the kind of stresses or the kind of conditions or the kind of society living under the curtain of community bunkers. Imagine. So these things, by virtue of a journalist who can become an eye and ear, he can bring to the academics who will also get chances to visit these places. But the richness, the amount of academic richness which these two people can bring in will be of a different kind. And the papers which can be brought out, the research which can be done will be unique, very rich.
Thank you so much, Mayank, for elaborating this complex relationship between journalism and academic study, because we tend to see, more so in South Asia, we tend to see that there is a gap. There is a gap of interaction between various academic fields and between various engagers with borders. There are various stakeholders of borders, in fact. So thank you so much for highlighting this point of common ground between these two fraternities. So Mayankji, now we are ready to move into the second segment, the most important, most interesting segment of today's episode, wherein you will be showing us some of the snippets and some of the glimpses of the borderlands of South Asia. So I completely hand over the show to you now. You can definitely show us by the means of screen share or your presentation to our young viewers and to the scholars of border studies.
I had got a chance to visit right at the places. In 2009, I was at Bumla when the meeting between the Indian and Chinese was taking place on the Chinese side. So I visited across the LAC. And what struck me is the video, which I'll show the video to the people, that, there is no demarcation of LAC actually, for practical purposes. Similarly, I'll take you through the borders which are along Sikkim. When I was saying that there is a cross-country run, I'll show you those roads which are just sheer plain. You can watch for kilometers at 15,000 feet, bright sky. And also you will understand the uniquely positioned soldiers, what is white out. And also I'll take you to Hamirpur area so that you understand how uniquely placed are we. To Tithwal I'll take you, which is a unique crossing point, but which is closed. Imagine, since 1931 it was developed and it is closed right now. And all because the way the things are practically on ground. So I'm sharing my screen for you all people, and one by one I'll show you the videos and we'll talk about it. So I'm taking you to a meeting which took place at Bumla.
Okay.
So that people understand I mean, these things also, because it's quite hot now. I mean, it's very in vogue. People are talking about these places and the kind of conditions there are. So I would like to start with that video. On the right side, what you see is contingent of Indian Army, which is coming close to LAC. And I'll stop right at the point where LAC is marked. Now this is LAC for all practical purposes. It's a proper formal ceremony. So everything is marked out, everything is decided, pre-decided. And this is the Chinese contingent, the Chinese senior colonel. The place is Bumla, which is around 16,000 feet.
At the moment is here, where you see Chinese PLA all the way at the line of actual control, reaching in our Indian soldiers who would now be taken inside into the Chinese territory beyond the line of actual control. And there you see the celebrations begin. This border person meeting that would start in some time from now is now officially kickstarting with exchange of hands between the brigadier of 190 Mountain Brigade delegation the Indian officers, and there you see Chinese followed by the Indian soldiers marching shoulder to shoulder and feet by feet. They are trying to give out a very दोनों आगे की तरफ बढ़ते हुए दिखाई दे रहे हैं। खास मौका है इस वक्त इस सेरेमनी का मीटिंग का which has not been witnessed in the recent यहाँ पर गवाह बन रहा है। ये भारत और चीन के बीच दोस्ती मित्रता शांति व्यवस्था के लिए काफी अहम है और हम अब ये दोनों ही सैन्य टुकड़ियां अब आ चुकी हैं उस जगह पर जहां पर भारत और चीन दोनों ही देशों का झंडा लहराता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है और अब यहाँ पर दोनों ही देशों के फ्लैग होस्टिंग सेरेमनी का कार्यक्रम होगा और जाहिर तौर पे अब by this Chinese counterparts.
I'll stop the video here because my main purpose was to show you the demarcation of LAC. Now I'll take you to a different video, which is going to show you the span of it, the entire span of the LAC. This is the Chinese side. Watch the road. And this is the border personnel meeting area. This was Arunachal Pradesh. I'll take you to the Myanmar border, wherein the infrastructures are being built up. Now this is Zoranpui, and this is a bridge. I'll take you to the bridge actually, which is the old bridge. Now a new bridge is being constructed, and which is the crossing between India and Myanmar. This is a wider photograph. Here we zoom in. This is the old bridge actually. and these are the girls coming from that other side to collect water and other things. Now I'll take you to Punch area. It is called AIOS, Anti-Infiltration Obstruction System, Obstacle System. From the side, AIOS, close to LOC. Now I'll show you the span of that area to make you understand that if we talk of LOC, is it demarcated? Even if it is demarcated, is it not complex for the people who are living there? And when you go to left, downside, the lowest area, there's a junction and there are villages there, which is POK. The larger portion in front of you is POK. These left houses, they are on the Indian side. I'll run you through certain photographs which will make you feel that, I mean, at least you will understand the kind of complexities which the people living in those areas they face. This is a class going on there, and it was called as community class. Since social distancing was required and these people were also following, the good part, mostly the students were girls there, and I was very happy. Watch this. The windows, those small holes, those holes are because of the splinters. And this is the larger hole. The kind of fear which hangs over them is always hovering there. So imagine the kind of effect which it does on the psychology of the youngsters who are going into those areas. And these varied colors I am showing you now. Imagine this is the primary school of Basoli village. The soldier is keeping watch on the POK side. And this is the bunker which is right along the school which I showed you. They have to rush whenever there is a firing. Government of India has sanctioned bunkers, community bunkers for these areas. To amalgamate them, to look after the society there, because it's a little aloof, because of certain administrative reasons. Lots of programs keep taking place there. And this is one such program wherein the vaccination was taking place and people had collected there. And this is a new soldier who has been introduced there. This is Doti, a Labrador, to sniff the narcotics from the other side. This is another bunker. This is the road I was talking about. And just because there's no firing right now, these people, the PWD people, they are able to work. They are planning the area. This road will go to, this is right now, the place where they are standing is Kanga village. And this road will go to a village called Datot. Children, you can watch. They are enjoying the crane which was working there, the JCB which was working there. So it's a very interesting place. And as you had initiated the talk with, South Asia has very uniquely placed borders. This is a different place of AIOS. The man who is standing there in traditional clothes is wanting to go to cut grasses on the other side.
Okay, so the other side of this gate is Pakistan.
No, there is a system, two-layered system now. People are not allowed to, unless you are the villager there, you are not allowed to go to the LOC. So this villager is wanting to go ahead of AIOS system. This is the second layer wherein by which you try to stop the infiltrators. Now I'm taking you to a different place. I'll take you to Kargil, and I'll show you a village, which is very rare village. It was bustling village till 1999, and post Kargil, the way things took place, the firings, that village is a haunted village now, and that photograph will describe for itself the things which are on ground. Before we go there, let me show certain other photographs. Inside of a bunker. This is one of the bunkers. And this is how the life is along the borders. This man was one of the 3 who were shot by the infiltrators. The 2 could not survive, but this man survived. On your screen, to the left are the 2 ladies who lost their husbands. And father is in between. This is the kind of difficulties which these people face. Look at the smile on the child. And this child lost father last year. Those 2 children on the right, they are the daughters of one of the people who lost his life, one of the person. So I'm now taking you to Kargil side. And then we'll go to Tithwal crossing. It's a very interesting crossing because there's a road there which goes to Neelam Valley. And these terms, words like Neelam Valley, Lipa Valley, you must be often hearing about infiltration, about the firings which take place. And then I'll describe something unique about that village Tithwal. I'm taking you to Kargil now. The photographs are of 2009. These are the kind of boards which you'll find often at different places. Approach towards Kargil, Dras, look at the beauty, which is pure. This is one of the gun positions, which is along Kargil in the Dras area. It's a very different story. The soldier who's standing with me is a Gurkha soldier. And when I was asked, as you said, that what journalists can bring, when I was asked that I'll be allowed to cover Kargil, I said I should be also allowed to go to the tops wherein the soldiers fought. So this is on the way towards Tololing top. And I must be one of the only few soldiers who have been to the top of Tololing. This place is called India Gate, wherein very bloodied fight, wherein we lost soldiers to cross this area because it's a very important junction, which is close to a Nala. Look at the beauty, raw beauty, the yellow water lilies all around. This is one of the posts there. Across is POK. So from green area, we have come to snow area, snow line. This is the unique thing which I was talking about. In Jammu and Kashmir, and at many of the points at LAC also, line of actual control, the places which are marketed, demarcated, or differentiated, identified, rivers are in between. So whatever you see is actually a Pakistani post. This post is generally on the Indian side is called as post 42. And there's a river which is 30 feet wide is flowing in between.
Which river is this, Manjay? Is this the Neelam River? Which river is this?
No. It is towards Kargil side.
Okay.
River I don't remember.
Okay.
I'll take you to the Neelam River when we go to Kupwara, which is Tithwal. Watch this village actually. These are the houses which are dilapidating now. I'll zoom in. Maybe we'll be able to see it closer. Watch these villages. It's all haunted now. So what the differences can do, what one side trying to control the area or one side trying to usurp the area can do to the people, the common man. This is the river I was talking about at post 42. Now I'm taking you to Tithwal, which is the crossing. First, the approach. In terms of beauty, these places are unmatched. But the conditions, they are different. We are approaching Tithwal village. The other side, if you see the cars are going up on the hill, that's road towards Neelam. That's POK. Now I'll take you to a complete span of the area. The village, the river, everything in between. And you'll also listen to Azan. This is all POK. On the left side is Lipa Valley. On the right side is Neelam Valley. So when you visit these places and you talk to the people, it can stir emotions in you.
Mm-hmm.
Watch these heights, then we'll discuss about the heights also, because it's a very unique point. On the right side is Indian, is our right now the Kashmir which is under us, and the other side whatever is occupied by POK, by Pakistan. This is the village. The heights which I showed you are important. The firings which take place often are from height to height. And people, I mean, generally public, people are not targeted, but you never know. Because most often, as I showed you towards Punch side, wherein a man who had lost the leg, they were targeted by the Pakistan Army side infiltrators. When I showed you the last school, you saw the number of girls there.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this school again. It's a different school.
Mm-hmm.
Now count the girls there. Isn't it a very heartening sight? The kind of bright children we have along these areas, the kind of ambitions these people have. My God, you get impressed and you get emotional because we have the kind of people potential which is living, residing all along these areas. Let me accept that Army is doing quite a lot to help these children in terms of Sadbhavana, in terms of lots of tours and trips, which is taking place all across the country. This is that Tithwal crossing. I have also put one of my photographs as well. This is that road I was talking about, Neelam Valley Road. This is our village. This is that village, POK side village. And this river is the crossing, is the dividing line. I'll show you the video of the crossing. So this is Indian side village. On the background, you can hear the Ajan from the other side. The hilltops, our soldiers are there. So this is the crossing point, which has a white marking right in between. And if you see on the Pakistan side, which is ahead of the across the river, it's a iron. It's an iron gate, and
Yes.
this is the Pakistani flag. This is a Pakistani small observation post, and there is a line in between, white line, which is the right center of the line of control at this place. There are 5 such crossings all along the 76 kilometers long line of control. So my purpose of showing you all these videos, talking about them, is to tell you that the kind of borders which we have, they are, I mean, lots of people might not even imagine the kind of locations these are, the way the people have emotions there, the kind of emotional things which people face there. And it's a very good initiative you people have started. There has to be a bridge between the academics, between journalists who are full-time devoted to covering all these places, because not much has been written. I mean, how many people in India would have even imagined that there's a heap of rock which is line of actual control, or you just cross a few stones and you are on the Chinese side, and people are struggling for that area. And I mean, let me show you a small video before we start talking further about the meeting which was on the Chinese side. In between, 2 senior officers are sitting, and on their sides are sitting the interpreters. It's a very formal meeting, and the gifts are exchanged. Indian side give, whichever side is hosting, they give a different kind of a gift, and these gifts are always decided, pre-decided. Now, watch this. Since the Chinese were hosting us, so they had shown the cultural program from their side.
So finally, we have reached the end of a very interesting and very informative episode, a very informative session today. I mean, let's take this as the first step towards, the interaction, to greater interaction between journalism and academic research of borders, as you have already mentioned. So we definitely look forward to greater engagement with you, Mayank Ji, in the coming times in regard to enriching our understanding about borders and borderlands of South Asia. I, on behalf of Border Studies in South Asia, would like to extend my gratitude to you for sparing time out of your busy schedule with us this afternoon.
It's so heartening, actually. In fact, every interaction is a learning, and the way the things which you have initiated, your department has initiated, the South Asia University has initiated, is going to take us a long way, because it is about time. It is the right time that we take up studies in all these areas. And a journalist who is able to visit areas, observe things, write about it, can bring in the pulses of the place, the emotions of the place, and which is definitely, I'm sure, is going to bring people together nearer with the voices from the ground. So thank you so much, in fact, and it's so enriching, because I was trying to recapture those moments which I have spent into those areas. And the people who are into the urban areas, who are into the developed places where electricity road is not a discussion also, it's very different place to go to and visit. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Let's hope that we'll take it forward for the learning of the larger masses and for the academics and the journalists.